We have Grant Erfurt in the studio today with Rapid Dry. Grant, welcome to the studio. How you doing?
Good.
Tell us, why'd you decide to get into this particular business?
You know, St. Louis is a market for water. There's a lot of water accidents here. We have basements, we have flooding, you know, there's hail and all types of things and all kinds of water emergencies. And there's just a big market for it here in St. Louis and here in the Midwest. So that's why I decided to get into it.
Well, the convergence of the Missouri and the Mississippi River, does that contribute to this? Because the two biggest rivers in the United States meet right here in St. Louis.
Yep, that does it. Yeah, that helps.
Wow, okay. So how long have you been in business? How long have you been
We've been in business since 2013, and I've been doing working in the fields and working in construction since I was born into a contracting family.
So you've helped many people get their houses built and fixed and worked in this industry a long time.
Been probably in thousands and thousands of homes over my life, yeah.
Wow. What do you love most about what you do? What drives your passion?
You know, the thing I really like about it is that you're showing up and you got to handle someone on a bad day. You know, you're a first responder. They're calling you because they got water in their basement, or they've got mold, or they've got a sewage backup, and they're having a bad day. So you got to get there quick, and you got to handle them properly, and you got to do it, with tact, and make sure you do it, right to get them their house safe.
Sure, and flooding happens in a number of ways. I know we had water backing up through my sump pump that I don't have because we're on a hill. So if you don't jump on something that quickly, you can end up with a bunch of water in your house.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different ways you can get water in your house. It could be a backed up sump pump, either that failed, or it's maybe a float got stuck, or something's wrong with that, and you get a big heavy rain. You could have just flooding in general from the entire neighborhood. You could have a leak from your ice maker and your refrigerator and your dishwasher, your clothes washer. And there's so many different ways. You could have a hole in your ceiling from the roof. So any way there's water that gets into a house, there's a lot of different ways and things that happen there.
So tell me, what sets Rapid Dry apart? What do you do differently? What makes you the company to go to?
One of the things that's different with us is that all of our technicians are certified, which is quite a big difference, in some other places. And in this industry, I was kind of shocked to hear that only 10% of the people in this industry are actually certified. So there's a science of drying a house.
Properly trained.
Exactly. And there's a science of drying a house, and it's not just, throw down some fans, which a lot of sometimes people think, oh, I'm going to put some fans down here and it's going to handle it. Well, lots of times it doesn't. And unfortunately, that ends up, sometimes that water sits there and it gets worse and worse and turns into, worse condition for the house.
Sure. You end up with mold and all kinds of things that can cause.
Yeah, and that's another thing we end up tackling. We do mold testing remediation. If water sits for long enough, that is a potential thing that can happen in someone's house.
So Grant, tell me about a hurdle you've had to overcome in your lifetime as a professional.
Sure. Lots of times, you really have to deal with the customer and make sure the customer is well informed. Sometimes the biggest complaints is the customer doesn't know what's going on.
Right.
And there's a lot of things to coordinate too. You could be a plumber you have to coordinate, a roofer you got to coordinate. You've got to coordinate someone to come in that's going to do the build back. Sometimes there's insurance companies involved, so the insurance agents get involved, and that's a whole other thing you got to deal with. So there's a lot of strings to pull. So making sure that everybody's well informed what's going on by making sure you document everything. There's tons of pictures of what's going on,
right.
And really making sure the customer is informed of what's going on. That's been our biggest hurdle with that.
So Grant, what do you do to contribute to the community here in St. Louis?
Well, it's funny you ask, because just yesterday my church had a bit of a flood, and so we're actually over there right now doing some dry outs of that. Another thing we do is that I grew up a Boy Scout. I was Eagle Scout, and so one of the things I like to do is contribute back to that and to the Girl Scouts as well. Especially during Girl Scout cookie season, I always like to go out and buy a bunch of Girl Scout cookies, and everybody loves Girl Scout cookies, so I like to go out and give customers and insurance agents and plumbers and people I network and meet with. That's one of the things I always like to do and give out to them.
Girl Scout cookies are very popular.
People like them,
sure.
Yes, yeah.
So tell me, what do you love most about St. Louis? What do you do for fun in St. Louis?
I'm a big baseball fan. I always have been. I've been to about 12 different Major League Baseball parks.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
So I've been around, and I'm a big baseball fan. I love the architecture of St. Louis.
Sure.
I love the old homes. We pride ourselves in working in old homes to make sure we can keep it exactly as is. So that's a big thing of me that I really appreciate. I love the brick here in St. Louis, and so if I can go into a home in St. Louis and I can keep the architectural features in the home without having to tear out a bunch of stuff, because that's a lot of times with this type of work is that it's one of the things you have to do. Sometimes you have to pull out stuff if it's affected.
Yeah.
We pride ourselves on not the type of company that wants to come out and just rip everything out.
Sure.
We recently did a job where the customer had an Indonesian rosewood floor.
Wow.
And rosewood is it's beautiful, beautiful wood, but you can't cut it down anymore.
I was saying it's probably very unique to find too.
Yeah, and it was just gorgeous. And unfortunately, the house had flooded and the floors were affected. The insurance thought that we wouldn't be able to save the wood, but we have a system where we actually dried the floor and we're able to actually take the water out of the floor and lay it down flat again without having to tear it out. So we were happy about that.
Oh, it saved people a lot of money, and it's a lot of prestige for having such a unique flooring that would be hard to replace if you could.
Yeah.
And be very expensive.
With whatever we can save, that's one of the things we like to do. We like to do drying in place of things.
Okay.
So the less we can pull out, the better.
Right. Well, that saves everybody a lot of hassle. If you got some expertise there that is beyond the average company that does the same thing, then you can really set yourself apart. That's pretty cool.
Right.
That's what we always talk about with the Cardinal Cowboy Show is what do you do to set yourself apart, because that's the essential.
Yeah, it's a matter of really having the right equipment and actually knowing the science of drying if you can do that.
So Grant, thanks for coming on the show today. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Grant Erfurt from Rapid Dry. This is the Cardinal Cowboy Show. Stay tuned.